Welcome to the Newly podcast, everyone. This is my first live podcast. Excited to be with you. I am a little nervous, admittedly, and thought I would just do this first podcast to talk a little bit about why I'm doing this podcast, what it means to me, what is my why, a la Simon Sinek, and just tell you all a little bit about myself. Moving forward, all of these podcasts will feature a guest, and I will be the host. But I figure why not introduce you a little bit to myself to start off. So, my name is Britta Newly. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I have spent the better part of the last 5 years trying to build my career. And in my 20s, I was an artist, and which means I was a bartender and a server. And I struggled to see where I would fit in the corporate world. And for me, what was difficult about that was mostly the fact that I didn't see people like me in corporate spaces. And what I mean by that is I have dyslexia and ADHD, and I'm a highly creative person, and I don't really like sitting at a desk unless there's something that is, really compelling that I'm working on. And I I struggle to understand how to fit in a work culture and what types of strengths I had and how that even translated. And it wasn't till the end of my 20s when I was like, I would like a 401k and some vacation time and probably healthcare benefits would be really nice, because I spent most of my, like I said, I spent most of my time working in restaurants and then also doing art on the side. And I think I really fell for that age old trope that is, follow your passion, so woo woo-y. And the problem is, most of us don't know what our passion is until we find it. And and I always found that phrase to be so unhelpful. And also that stupid phrase about, I don't remember what it is, but um gosh, I just, so much anger is welling up inside me just thinking about this phrase. But that stupid phrase, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, I call bull crap. I gotta remember I probably can't swear on live TV. I tend to have a mouth like a sailor. So I'm trying, guys. But what I'm saying is, I call bull crap on, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. No, work and hard work can be really, really rewarding and can be nourishing and can be exciting when work hard and you push past, barriers and you see things come to fruition. That can be incredible. And I remember as I was in the better part of my time as an artist, and I kept running into these barriers of, okay, and, this is hard work, and for me, I did metal work. I did, natural process photography, and a myriad of other things, among other things, but mostly sculptural metal work. And it was hard work. It was hard work on the body. It was hard work on the mind. It was hard work on the heart, because you're trying to pull out these narratives, these things from inside of you and make them visual. Uh, and I remember frankly feeling cheated and pissed off. Like, wait a minute. I thought if I was doing something that I loved, that it wouldn't feel like hard work. Is why I call bull crap. Because I did love doing it. And what's so interesting is, as I started to, so I was in the restaurant industry, doing sculpture, working as a welder in a bronze studio and an assistant, and starting to understand this dichotomy of like hard work but rewarding. And I feel like our whole generation has been sold, I'm a millennial. My whole generation has been sold this crap about, you know, you're never if you don't love your job, there's something wrong with you. Or if you don't love every minute of your job, there's something wrong with you. Or you're in the wrong job, or if you don't get along perfectly with your coworkers, and the work environment isn't like perfectly suited to your emotional like style, then you're in the wrong job, which again, I call bull crap. There are so many job environments that you can flourish in, even ones that are toxic, if you choose to. If you really want that, if you want that job for yourself, you can figure out, you can be emotionally intelligent enough to figure out how to flourish because you're resilient. And I feel like so many millennials, including myself, have given up on job environments or careers too soon because they have believed a lie, frankly. And, don't get me started about the lie about the necessity of a college education. Although I value the fact that I had a college education, and frankly, I'm getting my MBA right now, that has been completely invaluable. I've never ever been in a program that has literally changed my life. I'm in a transformational business program through Wright Graduate University, but that's beside the point. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I want us to bust these myths down. I remember when I first started at the end of my 20s, when I was like, okay, need a 401k, need vacation time, need to have a life, don't want to work for tips all the time anymore. Although, that's fun. I I paused and, I started looking at job descriptions and, different job types and, we've all, since we grew up in a culture that was straddling between digital native and this like whole non-digital atmosphere, I still remember when we had a rotary phone or a cordless phone. So there's a whole subgroup and gigantic portion of jobs out there that we were never told about, jobs that were just not even on the horizon, even when we were in our teens. So it's hard to picture yourself in job descriptions or job careers that you just have no concept of or have never had any concept of. And so I would read these job descriptions and they would be, flowery and like very like corporate-y speak, and I would just think, what the F? I was just saying, I don't even know if I qualify for this job. I mean, it's an entry level job. I have a degree, but I don't even understand what this job even does, like um, customer service transformational specialist or, marketing coordinator specialist or marketing generalist or whatever. Like there's just 1,000 different, you know, um, you know, corporate operational analyst. Like, what does that even mean? Like, seriously, what does it even mean? And, companies have to write job descriptions uh, to be able to, there's a lot of legalese that go into a job description. And to be able to, they have to write them for performance management reasons and many other things. And frankly, most people in HR that have to write a job description from scratch have no idea what they're doing, and they don't want to say like, well, basically you just have to answer emails and like push enter on a computer a couple of times and copy paste some things, and just be available. They can't put that in the job description, even though that's what it might be. And so right around the time I was making my transition, I was incredibly anxious because I was like, how can someone with dyslexia and ADHD survive in any type of work culture where you're having to email and read a bunch of things and keep a lot of focus? And I was reading a book called, oh geez, I'm gonna forget it. Oh, I remember. I was reading a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And it's a book about creativity and harnessing creativity and capturing creativity. And there is a piece of that book that I will never forget because it totally shifted this follow your passion paradigm for me. And what she said was, don't follow your passion, follow your curiosity, and it will lead you, breadcrumb you to something that you feel passionate about that you would have had no idea or concept of it before you decided to just start following your curiosity. So so that's what I did. So I started by going through a large uh, temp firm, and I highly recommend anyone who's sort of at the beginning of a career journey or or at the beginning of building a career or wanting to really pivot into a different career, do temp work, do corporate temp work. It is so valuable. You will learn so much about yourself. So I'm not trying to plug anybody, but I worked with one agency called Robert Half. It's a very huge national agency. And what's nice about working with a temp agency is the recruiter is incentivized to find you a job that fits you well, because they don't get paid if you don't stay in that job or if you don't perform well in that job. So, and in a lot of senses, you can sort of name what salary you want, and they'll go looking to find a job that has a similar salary price point and to help you. So what I did, I did a bunch of different things. I did some receptionist work at a nonprofit. I did, there was like 4 or 5, I don't even remember, but there were like 4 or 5 different things that I tried in a 3-month span. And what was nice is, if it wasn't fitting me, if the environment wasn't fitting me, I just call my recruiter and say, hi, this isn't a good fit for me, and I'd like you to find me a new placement. And they did. And this was a time when the job market was really hot, so it might not always be that immediate. But for me, it was incredibly valuable in exploring what kind of office culture do I want, what are the main 4 or 5 things that I enjoy. And I think partially because of my experience working in customer service as a bartender and a server, and doing restaurant management, coffee shop work, stuff like that, I found that I really love jobs where I was regularly and directly interacting with the customer. And that was because I followed my curiosity. So I went to each job, and I would think at the end of each job, okay, what did I learn that I didn't like here? And what did I learn about what I really did like here? And how am I going to find a job that really speaks to the things that I really liked about this job? And it was a wonderful time of self-exploration. And I ended up at a management consulting firm, and I loved the work that I did. My titles were, I never ever would have applied for these jobs had I known what the titles were and read the job descriptions. Never. One of my titles was corporate operations analyst, which, what does that even mean? It means that I supported people inside of the corporation and analyzed data and helped them create training programs. But mostly like the granular parts of creating training programs. So like, what brochures do you need printed? What kind of books do you need there? What kind of resources? How many people are going to be there? How many name badges do you need? All of that stuff, just very, operational stuff. And so that was one of my job titles. And then another one was commercial operations analyst. Or did I already say that? I can't remember, but I had 2 job titles while I was there, and 2 job descriptions, because I was working dual roles. And what I found is, one, if you find the right corporate environment, if you have any challenges, ADHD, dyslexia, and the like, if you advocate for yourself, you can find an environment that will fit you. And advocacy really means being honest from the forefront. So I was really worried that if I told them from the beginning that I had dyslexia and ADHD, or what have you, that they would be like, oh, hell no, or oops. I just swore on live, whatever. Okay. They would be like, oh, heck no, we don't want that person. And I was incredibly lucky to meet a hiring manager that saw my skills beyond that. Then, HR departments see those types of things as liabilities, which is another podcast, and we'll talk about that later. But what I realized is, if I didn't tell them on the front end what challenges I was going to experience, the moment I hit those challenges, they would view it as a break in trust. Because then I'd have to admit to them, sorry, I've had 20 misspelled emails. I have dyslexia. And not telling them that on the front end created a lot of mistrust that I ended up having to like rebuild over time. So I learned through the interviewing process and through the temp process that it was really important for me to say, listen, in the job interview, these are the challenges that I face. Um, and I would touch on them momentarily, but then really go on to describe what the strengths were about that. So one of the strengths of having dyslexia is that I've gotten to be actually really good at writing because I have to read and reread and reread and reread everything that I write because I want to check for errors. And sometimes I still miss errors, and that's just the way my brain works. And I've had to be okay with that and not shame myself for that. But um, um, but yeah, so admitting that those were struggles that I had from the very beginning, and advocating for myself for technology that I needed, people actually, one, they trusted me more on the front end, and two, they had a lot more respect for me because they saw when I was advocating for the things that I needed, they trusted me to take on bigger initiatives than I ever would have, which is why I ended up with a dual role. And people would just sort of naturally continue to hand me responsibility because they saw that I respected others, and I was trustworthy. So if you have any sort of challenge in that realm, I highly recommend that you advocate for yourself and tell them on the front end. So that, that's one thing I've learned is advocacy and honesty on the front end of a job in a job interview is really, really important, especially when it comes to the challenges that you face. Exploring a work environment with curiosity, that, is huge, huge, huge thing. And um, and really, you know, giving an environment a chance, giving yourself a chance to understand what it is that you like and don't like. And I would say, in my experience, if you find a job that you like 70% of the time, that's pretty darn good. I was about to say damn, or shoot. Oh my God. Guys, I'm not doing well with this, like not having a potty mouth on live stream. But that's okay. We're learning. This is why we're testing it out right now by myself. This is why I don't have a guest right now. But I appreciate if you're watching. Thank you so much for continuing to watch. So again, what I learned is advocacy, is really important. Curiosity is really important. And and as I grew in understanding what careers and what job descriptions worked well for me, at the company that I was working at, so it was a management consulting firm, and it was a lot of customer service. It felt like waiting tables only via email, and I was very skilled at it, and I really enjoyed it, and it challenged me to different heights. And I would say probably for the first 3 months of the job, I would have an anxiety attack on my way to work every day, every single day. Um, Side note, I also struggle with anxiety and depression. It's a genetic thing, and I am not afraid to admit it because I've learned how to manage it, and I've learned that ways that anxiety and depression actually have been really positive in my life. But that's also another show, mental health shows. I'm very passionate about mental health advocacy in the workplace, and disability advocacy in the workplace. Uh, that being said, I spent about almost 2 years at that organization, and then surprise, the pandemic hit. Yay! And as happens, at the same time, I had also been getting a divorce, and it was a really, really challenging time in my life. And so, uh, Valentine's Day of 2020 was the day that I found out that I was being let go. And God, I mean, it's funny to me now. It's so funny to me now. It feels like something that would happen in a rom-com, right? Um, so funny that I would lose my job on the first Valentine's Day I had been single in 10 years. Um, it was really challenging. It was hard. It was hard. But there was something in me that knew that there was this resiliency that was being built in me, and that knew that I could do it. And unfortunately, because of the divorce, I had chosen to delete all my social media profiles for privacy, and privacy for both me and my ex-partner. Um, Really wonderful person. It just didn't work out with us. But what so in any case, I did a lot of soul searching and again dug into my curiosity and thought, okay, what did I like about the job that I was at previously? And what do how do I want to be moving forward? Because I feel like so many times when people lose a job, they just get desperate to find the next thing that's going to bring in income. And it doesn't even matter what it is. If it gives them money, like they'll just do it. And this is why this is why people keep job hopping because they don't consider what, myself included, they don't consider what their skills are and they either choose like, I want to be in this for the money or I want to, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that is your is that if that's a value of yours and you feel motivated by that and you really want that type of environment, go for it. Go for it. But I found in my experience, choosing a job for the money is um, does not lead to good places. In any case, and also choosing a job out of desperation does not lead to good things. So, in any case, lost my job and did a lot of soul searching and thought, you know what, I'm gonna pivot into marketing, and because I want to bring back some of my creativity, I want to be able to harness a lot of that creative thinking, and to be able to really bring in all of myself into my career so I can feel more satisfied. And as I was, looking at the fact that I had zero network because I had deleted my LinkedIn, we were at the beginning of a pandemic. So, I couldn't network in the traditional sense. I thought, screw it. I'm the product. I'm going to market myself. And I decided to do that. So I marketed myself and I took every meeting I possibly could. Lo and behold, um, and I took a lot of chances. The wonderful thing about LinkedIn is that it's like the world's largest ongoing cocktail party where you can have access to CEOs and, influencers and people that you would never be able to get access to in real life, but you have access to them because they're willing to share their expertise and their content. And I ended up networking with some incredible people. And I'm still floored by the people that took meetings with me. I would say, 80-20 rule. 80% of the people that I, messaged in their inbox, I would say something like, hey, just lost my job. You know, was looking at your LinkedIn. I saw that you've had a really interesting career. Would you mind meeting with me and telling me a little bit about how you got to where you are? And some people got mad. Some people were really pissed off, which I don't know why. I wasn't trying to sell anything, but I get it. Your time is valuable. That makes sense. Some people didn't respond at all, but the 20% of the people that did, so 80% didn't, either got mad, didn't respond, or something else. The 20% that did were so valuable. Um, it changed the course of my career. So one of those people who will eventually be on this podcast because he promised is Kurt Schmidt. He has a podcast called The Schmidt List, and he's president of the Foundry, which is a wonderful technology company here in Minneapolis that develops custom software. But he took a meeting with me, the president of a company, a hugely fast-growing company, and he really challenged me. He challenged me to start sharing myself online. He challenged me to look at networking in a different way. By the way, he has a really cool book that's coming out. You definitely have to read it. I don't know if it's on the shelves yet, but it's amazing. I'll have him on the podcast. He'll talk all about it. But he totally shifted my mindset around networking and challenged me to find people that were doing cool things that I cared about. Don't network and be phony with people that aren't doing things that mean anything to me or make a lot of money. Who cares about those people? He challenged me, find people that are doing cool stuff that you care about and bring those people into your network. And it became a joy. It became a joy to network and a joy to engage with these people that were doing these amazing things. And that's how I ended up finding a job in marketing. I ended up finding a job in marketing when everybody else was losing their jobs in April of 2020. And I found a job at a small agency called Marcom, wonderful fractional agency. And Priscilla Kakritz was my boss, visionary woman, incredibly wonderful person, and taught me so much. And I was there for a year, and it was since I'd never worked in marketing before, but I sort of had an instinct for it because of being an artist and having to sort of sell myself in that capacity. I was essentially like drowning in information from the very beginning. I this is maybe an extreme way of describing it, but I feel like this is the most accurate way of describing it. It was like willfully waterboarding myself with information for a good 6 months. But I learned so much, and I was able to try out many different things and developed capacities that I didn't know that I had, and created efficiencies and organized processes in ways that I didn't know that I could. Pardon, let me drink a coffee. And after being there for a year, I was recruited away to a startup called Online Growth Systems with owner Dick Polipnik, an incredibly inspirational guy. If you ever have a chance to have coffee with him or meet him or work with him, do it. Incredibly, incredibly inspirational human. We had a great run. We had a wonderful 4 months together. And, as happens sometimes, startups being what they are, money got tight, and unfortunately, there were circumstances sort of beyond our control, and two of us employees had to be furloughed, and then after that, we were sort of indefinitely released to go find our new venture, because very kindly Dick knew that he couldn't, hold us on a line while there were other things that we needed to go do in the world. And I have valued that 4 months just so much. One, because I've never worked with someone who is so motivated. Dick Polipnik is one of the most motivated, inspirational people that I've ever met. And also worked with Scott Millard, incredibly talented, incredibly inspirational, creative leader, essentially. He's so good at what he does, and he seems to do it so effortlessly. And I had just a fantastic time learning from them and being a part of this incredibly wonderful work culture. And then after that, I ended up working for one of our clients one of our partners, our referral partners, and decided to try following my curiosity, and I wouldn't say that I'm not a sales shark, but which I learned during the 6 months that I was at Proof Point Marketing. Gabby Israel Grinberg and Mike Grinberg, incredibly wonderful people. If you have a chance to work with their agency, do it. They are so process driven, and they taught me so much about advocating for myself and being in a work environment where I could really bring my whole self, and they wanted to maximize my talents. And as I was 6 months in, we had a conversation, and it was clear that this role wasn't for me, and it was a moment of integrity for me. I had to be honest and say, like, I don't think that this role fits me. And they didn't have another role that I could pivot to, which we thought about it, we kind of tried to jimmy rig some things, and then realized, I just wanted them to have the right person in the right place. So that being said, ended up moving on and finding this wonderful position at Don't Blink Venture Studios. And I just have a passion to help other people find their way, because I feel like it is so difficult in a world that feeds us lies about, how we need to be qualified. I feel like any entry level position says that you need to have 3 to 5 years of experience, which is bullcrap. just total bullcrap. They have to put some minimum qualification. You know, it's hard to know how to advocate for your salary, for yourself. And I've learned so much by trial and error, and I've learned so much through people that I've had the privilege of networking with. So my why, a la Simon Sinek, for this podcast is to provide you with information and resources that can help you build a career that is satisfying and exciting to you. And a lot of that has to do with, you know, personal growth work and understanding who you are so that you can find an environment where you will flourish. And a lot of that has to do with, you know, understanding what types of industries and careers and things that are going to bring you joy and satisfy your curiosity. And I want to and how to network and how to navigate corporate culture and how to navigate difficult relationships with people in your workplace. And there's so many things that I've learned through trial and error, and I'm still learning, frankly. But I want to learn from experts more because I want to satisfy my curiosity, and I want you to join me. I want you to join me on the journey for as little or as long as you want, and that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be doing these live podcast streams with a guest. So Brianna Doe, Mike Grinberg, Gabby Israel Grinberg, Kurt Schmidt are some of the guests that I hope to have on here. Um, Kristen Tippett is another one that I'm excited about. And yeah, so join me on this journey. I'm going to have a podcast once a week. We're going to do it in the mornings. Around 8:30 a.m. We'll go live once a week and join me. So welcome to the Newly podcast. Thank you so much for your time if you're still watching. And I am so excited for wherever this journey is going to take us all. So have a great day and enjoy your Tuesday.